Okay, the way we usually start is we'd like to have you tell us your name, where you were born, and when you were born.
Okay. Uh, I was born in Portland, Oregon in 1921, 26 January 1921. And my family, I mean, I lived there constantly until I went in the Army, and that was in 44. And then, so I just go back there from time to time and visit. I still have some family. My parents and my brothers are both gone, but I still have some family back there. So I go back and forth to visit there.
So you grew up and went to school there.
Yeah, I grew up and went to school there. Yeah.
How did you happen to go into the Army?
I was in, I did go to Eastern Oregon to St. Anthony's Hospital in Pendleton for nurses training. Okay, and so as soon as nurses training, well, during nurses training was when Pearl Harbor happened. I remember the nuns ran around, oh my goodness, it was like, God knows what's going to happen. They took all of the, they all wore these long black habits and stuff. So they went around and got all the black material that they could find, covered up all of our windows. This was a big deal, and you couldn't go outside at night. You couldn't go out without you couldn't go out with lights like flashlights and all. So anyway, so that's, and we had an airfield there. And so we dated the guys up at the airfield, and so and at the same time they still wanted nurses in the service, and so that was the first thing I did. Along about the third year I was in training was to go ahead and apply for the Army, and so I went in on the 3rd of July in 1944.
Okay, where did you go through a basic training of any sort?
Went to basic training in Camp White, Oregon. It's down near Medford, near Crater Lake, down in Medford, Oregon.
When did they move you out of there, and where did you go after?
I went from there up to Fort Lewis, Washington, up in near Tacoma, and I was there about maybe 5 months. Got orders for overseas, and went overseas with the 226 General Hospital, and we went to France, and so then I was there during the war, the whole time from there on. And when we were in the Battle of the Bulge, our patients came in from the Battle of the Bulge, and so that's the main thing there. Yeah.
That had to be just terrible, the casualties coming from the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, they really were, and it was, by that time, see, it was winter, because we went over in December, and in December, and by that time it was winter, and it was really cold, and over in that area at the Battle of the Bulge, it was way below zero, and they were in trenches, and we really got a lot of what do you call it, frozen limbs, and of course a lot of atrocious gunshot wounds and like that.
Were you getting a lot of frostbite cases at that point?
Yes, we did get some, and especially because it was so bitterly cold over there, especially at the last there at the Battle of the Bulge. They were in such dire circumstances, and it was really bad. And yeah, we got some of those. Mm-hmm.
Were you able to do much of anything medically for those guys that had the severe frostbite, or what happened there?
Oh my goodness. Can't remember details about what we did or how, if there were amputations because of it and like that. I don't remember. I don't remember. Casualties more, I remember, and those are casualties. Those are casualties for sure, but I don't remember too much about them.
The people that did make it to your hospital there, did you have a pretty high rate that you were able to save? Were you able to do anything medically to save most of the people that came through the hospital there?
Oh, Well, I think for the amount of time we had them, you know, we treated them immediately for whatever we could, surgeries and that kind of thing. You know, the ones that maybe were even worse probably went on to a different hospital. We air-evac'd them out to, like, over to England, or to maybe another facility even in France. But mostly I think it would go out to England. And the ones that could be, by that time, our getting people back to the States was improving again. And so I'm sure a lot of them came right back to, like, to Walter Reed, you know, especially the really serious ones.
I think a lot of people, even though it's a different war, a lot of people who think of a hospital in war, they think of something like MASH, the TV series. Were you guys kind of like a MASH where you were taking the casualties right off the line?
No, those would have been people up closer to the front. We were back from that, but we acted sort of like a air evac, like an evac hospital. But we got the casualties in and then treated the ones we could that needed treated right away, and then right away evac them out, mostly by hospital train. And they went to the port, and then they were put on hospital ships.
Did the Germans come close to you during the Battle of the Bulge where you were at the hospital?
Did the what?
Did the Germans come close to you?
Where we were stationed? No. They were away from. By the time we got there, they were already away from most of France. Yeah, they were already away from there. They were withdrawing back, you know, and of course we were coming on to them right away. So.
What kind of work were you doing at nursing? Was it?
We did all kinds of just general care. We got patients in directly from the front, and they came in by, we had a little airfield nearby, and that had been Germans, and the buildings had all been bombed out and so forth, but the runway was good. And so when we got their patients in from the front, they came in by C-47 and glider. And the C-47 pulled the glider, okay, and each unit was full of patients. So when you'd see them coming off in the distance, and when they got up to a certain point, then the pilot would cut the glider loose. And the glider would glide in onto the airfield, and the guys would go out quick, pull it off, get it out of the way. In the meantime, the C-47 made a big loop around, and then they came in and landed, and then we pulled all their patients out. And then we also got patients in from hospital train and also by ambulance. So.
I was wondering about the gliders. Did they land smooth enough? It was.
I think so. I'm sure there must have been times, either at our place or at other ones, where they had some maybe casualties from coming down and not hitting the runway right or something. You know, I don't remember seeing those, but that was one way we got in. And I don't remember how many patients were in each unit. I don't remember that.
Do you have an estimate of how many patients you actually saw come through?
Oh my goodness. I haven't the vaguest idea.
Were all of them American GIs?
I think so, as far as I know. We also had German POWs that worked for us. They did, like, they had them go out and do the grounds, make things look nice around the hospital unit, and that was one thing they did, was help unload patients. We have the guards there and all that, but we had them come out and help unload patients and do that kind of thing too. But as far as the casualties, as far as I know, they were all American. I don't know if we brought in like some from England and like that. I don't remember.
What was it like when you first started to see casualties coming in? You hadn't seen war. You hadn't seen what happens. What was your first feeling?
Oh gosh. Well, with some of the casualties of the injuries that they had, you know, you'd think, okay, what kind of a life now are these guys going to have? And this was before they really perfected the artificial limbs. You know, now, you know, it's such a different picture. At that time, they, of course, had artificial limbs, but they were the early ones that, you know, but you pictured some of these young guys, some of them were like, you know, 20 years old with maybe both legs gone, one leg gone, or you know, that kind of thing. And you thought, well, you know, this is what we're going to see when we get home, you know, these kind of people.
So the American medical system was really set up to get these guys as much care as they could at every step as they brought them out.
And of course, the care now, you know, everything is so fast and so much improved. It's entirely different, you know. We learned a lot. That's one thing that World War II did. We learned a lot about amputations, about prostheses, and about treatments of head wounds, of all the different serious things that now we have a lot more quick treatment for. At that time, we you know, we treated them, but things have improved so much now. So.
Okay, but, okay.
Oh, I was just thinking that these days, I think people are more aware of things like stress or things that, you know, affect people. Did it affect nurses and doctors seeing the things that were coming in off of? Do you remember whether people had any particular problems with it at the time?
I don't remember anything like that. I don't remember anybody in the medical sections that had any, you know, real stress from it. No, I think we just were busy. We just did quickly what we had to do, and I don't remember stress. I think the stress that we hear all the time about Vietnam, I think those are mostly the guys, the stress from being up there in the front, slogging through the jungles and all the things that they had to put up with just to stay alive, you know. I don't remember that kind of thing.
What was their attitude? How did they react?
I don't remember particularly. I think most of them were so glad to be back with us. I don't remember any particular things. I don't remember any bitterness or anything like that.
They were just serving their country.
They were just serving the country, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever, I know this is a long odds thing, but have you ever run into anybody that you treated or later on?
No, I don't think so. No. You know, that was in 45, and by the time we all got home and they all got to their homes and all, no, I don't think we ever saw any of them again. No. Mm-mm.
There's a chance you could have, but people didn't talk about it.
It could be, but they were from all over the country, you know. So here, and in the meantime, then when we came back, then we went to all these, you know, I've been stationed so many places, so it's not likely you're going to run into somebody, you know. Maybe you're 3 years at one place, and then you get orders, and maybe you go overseas again for 3 years, then you come back, maybe this time to Texas, maybe next time to Ohio or whatever. So, you know, I don't think you would ever run into them again.
Were you there in France when the war ended?
No, we were in Montmillon-le-Grand. That's where we were receiving all these people, and the war ended, and so we finished up that unit because there was a lot to do to finish up the whole thing, And then we were on troop trains going down to Marseille. And when we would get there, then we would get on a ship to go over through the, not the Suez, the our canal.
Panama.
Panama, thank you.
I
The
was
Panama.
kidding.
Stop and think. I knew it wasn't the Suez. Through the Panama, and then we would be assigned over to the other war. And that was what our orders were. So we were on our way down to Marseille. And I remember we stopped at a place for all of us troops to get off and eat and so forth. And the first thing we heard was that Japan had surrendered. And so when we got to Marseille, we were just there as a staging area then, and we came home from there. Yeah.
What kind of an initial reaction do you have when you find out something like that, when you're expecting to go to Japan and see?
Oh, it was great, you know, just to think. The main thing, not so much because you didn't have the problem of going over there, but the fact that all these guys that were over there, you didn't have you had the thought that at least they weren't going to be killed, and that they weren't going to have any more problem. You know, it's a big relief. A big relief. And a lot of people too thought, you know, I'm sure a lot of them thought of the fact that, okay, I'm in the war and it's over with now. Now I can get out of here and I can go home and do the things that I would have been doing had I not been in the Army, you know. So.
What did you do after the war then?
I stayed in. I'm retired. I'm retired with 21 years. Yeah.
Where were some of the places you were stationed during that time?
Oh my goodness, you want them all?
A few.
Okay, well, let's see. When we got back from there, I went to well, I was to a staging area, and then went to Fletcher General Hospital in Cambridge, Ohio, and that was casualties from the war and also just people from the Army that needed hospitalization. We were there maybe 10 months or something, and that one was closed. Then we went up to Cryle General Hospital in Cleveland. And again, we were there for a few months, and that was closed. They were trying to close these all off, you know. Then we went to Halloran General Hospital in Staten Island, and we were back there for most of a year, and we closed that. So then I had orders from there to back out to Fort Lewis, Washington, to Madigan Army Hospital, and I was there 5 years. Went from there overseas again to can't think of the town. In France, it was for six months, and then then got orders to go back up to Stuttgart, and then was there for the rest of 3 years. Then I came back from there. Went to Fort Sam Houston for a 9-month administrative course that all Army officers in the Army Nurse Corps had to take. So we were there for 7 months. Came up to Fitzsimmons for 5 years. While I was there, I was married to a transportation officer, Bill Oakes. He was a patient of mine. And anyway, I grabbed him. But anyway, he was a patient of mine, and so let me think now. So I was there for the 5 years. Went from there to Tooele Ordnance Depot, which is in Utah. I was there for a year. And then at that time, we had a child. And at that time, I couldn't stay in. That changed probably about a year later. I could have stayed in and just kept going, you know. But they had any pregnancy like that, you were out. Okay, so I was out until Beth was 4 years old. And then they needed Army Nurse Corps officers again. And so they said, yes, we would be glad to have you back in. So that's why I finished out my 21 years.
What was your rank when you retired?
Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel.
How were the women treated in the Women's Army Corps during World War II? What kind of respect did you have?
The Women's Army Corps, I wasn't part of that.
You weren't? Okay.
No, see, we were an Army Nurse Corps.
Okay, so it was
Yeah, so
totally
it's
separate.
a different group, yeah, yeah. Oh, we were treated fine, yeah. No, I have no problems, no, no, it was great. So then when we both retired, we both had our military retirement, so, you know, it was all right. Then my husband died in 1980, and so our daughter is married, has 3 children, so I have 3 grandchildren, and they live here in Aurora, and not in Aurora, in Lakewood. And that's about the main thing there, yeah.
What were your responsibilities at the time you retired? Lieutenant Colonel is way up there. That's great rank.
Well, yeah, you had a lot of supervision. You also, it was like supervision within areas of the hospital. And just plain duty, you know, patient care and like that. But a lot of supervision, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about what's happening today in the world?
Oh, there we are in Iraq. There we are. Well, I'm kind of glad I'm not still active duty, but I suppose if I were, I would go ahead gladly and do what I have to do. I don't know if it's going to improve anything over there. It's such a different, totally different society. I don't know. I think if we ever make progress there, it's going to be a long time. You know, in the meantime, we're going to lose a lot of people. You know.
When you see accounts of the medical corps now, what they're dealing with there, obviously there are a lot of female nurses, but now there are female doctors in there, which you didn't get to see very much of, if at all.
No, not during the war. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We had some, but not very many. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you think it's come? Are you happy to see women into more of these situations and even more situations not related to the medical side of things?
Oh. Like the Women's Army Corps, the other ones that are there.
I'm just thinking about today's Army, where you see women throughout, so many more different.
Oh, and so many things. It's just like a divided, you know, Army and Air Force and all. I don't know any particular problems there. I don't know. Not being active duty now, you know, I don't know.
Just trying to think here. I was thinking a little bit about Hurricane Katrina and what's happened down there.
Oh, isn't that something?
And just the fact that the Army and the military and the Coast Guard, everyone was able to finally get in there. But do you think our military, the medical care that they can give is important for things that might happen here in this country?
To see if the medical care is what?
If it'd be a huge help in this country if it isn't even a hurricane or something, but if we do have another attack, you know, from
Whether we have care for them that's adequate. Well, I think we do. I think there's a lot of criticism about them not getting there, especially, was it yesterday that the president finally said, well, you know, we didn't get there maybe as quickly as we should. When you look at the disaster that it was, you almost couldn't get a car through some of that area, let alone bring in much care. Some of that area looked like the kindling that you split up to put out for the fires, you know, and then put the logs on top of that. It's just atrocious to look at it, you know. And then you look at all these homes just floating along. All you see is the roof. All these people, everything that they owned, and true, things are not as important as people. Still, these are all things that, like you say, those are my things, that they mean something. These are all family things that we've had all these years. They mean so much to us. Grandma gave us this, and we picked up that at a trip we went to, and all of it's gone. They don't have anything. Some of them probably didn't even get out with their important papers. They're in really bad situation, almost as bad as a war.
We're doing this show out of Buckley basically because it's a tribute, essentially the 60th anniversary of the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you look back on your experience now as far as, do you have a different perspective on it now as what you did back then? Do you have more realization about how important the work you were doing is?
Well, I think everything, yeah, I think it was an important, everything we did was important. I'm satisfied with it. I really liked the Army. I really enjoyed the Army. And the work that we did, the newer things that have come out, maybe we would have done differently now as far as care and like that. But for the most part, what we did at the times, yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. I'm glad I did it. Yeah. Very glad I did it.
Your generation has been dubbed the greatest generation. How do you feel about everybody that went? Do you think they have helped the country to guide us along for so many years? They gave us the goals to shoot for?
You mean the ones from
World War II?
From World War II.
Mm-hmm. All of you.
Whether they have, say it again.
Oh, just they've kind of given us goals to set for, that what they did, they changed the country when they came back.
Oh, absolutely. Everything changed completely. It was not like I went in, when I went in the Army, I was 22 or something like that. My life before, while I was still in grade school and high school, it was like a little community atmosphere. You didn't have, it was all, how do you explain it? All family type and community things with the neighbors and all. After the war, everything changed. New people came into that area that we never knew before. Some of our people ended up maybe settling someplace else. I think it was a totally different atmosphere. Just a totally different atmosphere.
I didn't want to interrupt early, but you taking your nurse's training at Pendleton, I'm from Walla Walla.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How about that?
We don't run into too many people who know where Pendleton is.
No, that's true. Well, you heard about the Roundup.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, the Pendleton Roundup. Yeah, there's a little airfield up there. Do you remember in Pendleton the Eastern Oregon mental hospital that over there at the west end of town? Up above that, up on the hills up there, is where the air base was. And those are the guys that we all dated, the nurses all dated, and had something to, and we really had a good relationship with a bunch up there. But what was what was it you asked me about that? About being in Walla Walla, yeah.
Walla Walla.
And I remember we would ride up on the bus up to Walla Walla once in a while, just on a day off, and see what was up there that we didn't have in Pendleton. But how about that coincidence?
It's a very, very small world.
It is.
And later on, that air base up there was the actual airfield for airport for Pendleton. 'Cause I remember
The little
flying
one in Pendleton was?
Yeah. At times I could fly home from Denver to Pendleton.
To Pendleton, and then somebody come pick you up for Walla Walla. Yeah.
They couldn't keep it going then.
So Walla Walla and Pendleton.
I remember a real silk cowboy shirt that I got for the Pendleton Roundup when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. And Walla Walla and Pendleton and La Grande and Baker, those were the four hospitals that the Franciscan sisters had. And I think Baker, that's the hospital now, but it's been much modernized, and it's, I don't know what they call it, anything special. But that's one of the old ones. And Pendleton, that's active, of course. We tour it each time that we go for a reunion, but it's, of course, much modernized. And in La Grande, I'm not sure if they have anything left there. And Walla Walla, I don't know. Did they expand it to something bigger?
I haven't been back that often, and
Yeah,
it's still the hospital there.
it's still a
It's-
hospital, yeah.
General Hospital, I grew up, and we look out our kitchen window, and we can actually see the operating room.
Oh my
of
gosh.
The other hospital.
Oh,
over
for
the
heaven's
other side of
sakes.
town.
That's close.
It was really close. It
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
less than a block away, cutting
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
Cattywampus. But
Mm.
so I grew up with that other one. I was born in the other hospital, St. Mary's, but
Yeah,
St.
yeah.
Mary's, yeah. And
Yeah. I don't know if probably if they got a new hospital, probably St. Mary's wouldn't even be there.
I'm going to have to check. I have to get on the internet and find out.
Yeah, now you'll have to find out. Let me know.
I will.
No, I know Pendleton, with the big new hospital there, that's busy. That's a busy place. So it's pretty much stayed. I was home for a hospital reunion, let's see, last year, and I wondered how much was really left up there. There's a lot of buildings up there, but I don't know if there's anything, whether you can land like a chopper or something up there. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything left up there.
Actually, that's a question. Do you go to reunions of the
Yeah, I
World War II
do.
era?
Yeah, I do. During all the years I was in the Army, I didn't go. Of course, I was, goodness knows where. And they used to have the reunion like every 5 years. Now, they've decided better have it at least 2 years because there's not that many are going to be here next time. But anyway, I went last year, and of the group that were right close to me, there's not too many of them left, but there were some there from the people that I really didn't work with on duty in the hospital, and they've been there all these years. So we had a pretty good turnout, but it's getting less and less, and I think they're down to 2 years now. So probably next year, I think I probably would go. Yeah.
it has to be nice to get together and just talk about.
Yeah, just to talk, I kind of wish sometimes they would have it at the same time that they have the roundup, and go and see that one more time too. So, yeah.